Paddy Pimblett and Ilia Topuria, two prospects from the lightweight and featherweight division respectively, got into a bit of an altercation at the hotel where they're both supposed to fight this weekend. One of the most anticipated prospects in MMA today, Ilia Topuria, with like 5 or 6 guys, he had a crew with him, he approached Paddy Pimblett, who was by himself. He confronted him, and then a bit of an exchange happened where it was kind of hard to tell from the camera angle, but it seemed like Paddy may have tried to shake Ilia's hand. Ilia slapped his hand away, then Paddy tried to clean him up, throwing a hand sanitizer bottle at him, and Topuria didn't appreciate it, so he started throwing hands at him. The punch seemed to hit Paddy's arm as the angle of the hook was too low. It looks like Topuria also tried to throw something at Paddy afterward, and ultimately they got separated from each other. Trash talk continued, and that was pretty much the end of it. Nothing much happened, nobody really got hurt, and it left a lot of people asking, why did this happen? Why did Ilia Topuria attack Paddy Pimblett? And why is Paddy starting problems with all these different kind of fighters? Whereas it seemed like Ilia Topuria is a guy who doesn't really get into this kind of thing. Well, Ilia Topuria is from the country Georgia, which is located in the Caucasus region. And apparently, Paddy Pimblett tweeted this out. Yeah, this is the big reason as to why Topuria had a problem with Paddy Pimblett. And not just him, a lot of the other Georgian fighters. As for those who don't know, Russia and Georgia had a war in 2008 where Russians were bombing Georgia, specifically their capital, and even persecuting ethnic Georgians in their own country. So of course, that being recent history, and something that most likely Topuria had to deal with in his lifetime, this is definitely going to be offensive to Topuria. I mean, it just happened. It most likely affected his family big time. And not only that, Paddy furthered, instigated this even more. We'll see if you say anything to my face. He's pretty much saying he would love to see it. And Topuria says, be careful what you wish for. A month later, this transpired. And Paddy went back to say that he didn't understand their history. Quote, I would like the Georgian people to understand that I had no idea about the history between Georgia and Russia. I'm a fighter, not a historian or politician. I didn't know what had gone on. The people seem to think I said it with malice when I had no idea of the past, unquote. So he did kind of apologize. He didn't say he was sorry or he was apologizing. He was just saying that he had no idea what he was talking about. And here's the thing that makes me scratch my head. How do you not know the history when you said, no wonder they got terrorized? You had to have known what happened then, because that is what happened. He said what historically happened, but then he says that he doesn't know the history of it. So I take the side that you can say anything when it comes to fighting, because at the end of the day, it comes down to blows. It comes down to physical action. And for me, physical action is more serious than any verbal action. So I take the side that in the sport, the fighters can say whatever they want to each other. But at the same time, whatever you say, you can offend the wrong fighter. You can get these sort of reactions. You can get into fights in the hotel all of a sudden. You might be chilling out in the lobby and all of a sudden, you get snuck in your chair. You might be trying to cut weight and all of a sudden, the guy you were trash talking enters the sauna and starts wailing on you. Even though there's a lot of freedom of what fighters can say, they also have to take all the responsibility for what they say. There is a point where you want to build up fights, right? For an example, Colby Covington and Conor McGregor, these two guys would offend anybody they wanted because they knew at one point they would reach the top, and when it gets there, they're going to have a lot of people who's going to love them. Now, firstly, what I have to say, it's kind of dumb Topuria approached him in this way, even though he said that he would, and that is to be somewhat respected. You don't want to jeopardize your own fight. You don't want to jeopardize a potential future fight with Paddy Pimblett. At the same time, it kind of does build up the fight, but if things went south, if he actually hit Paddy clean and hurt him in some way, or Paddy hits him and he gets hurt, he acted a bit too emotional and potentially hurt some of his opportunities going forward. Not looking at the big picture and ultimately didn't stay stoic enough. The best thing to do was maybe approach Paddy. Don't throw punches at him, but maybe confront him to build up the fight so the UFC could put it on, almost like a leveraging tactic, to get the fans involved. The fans will want to see it and then the UFC puts it together and then you could put your hands on Paddy. That would have been the best way Topuria should have reacted here. But that is only thinking clearly, and I'm not in that situation. In Topuria's head, regarding how personal that insult against him was, I cannot blame him for reacting this way at all. I mean, I know personally so many people would have reacted way worse than Topuria. This kind of unfolds everything that happened here. They had a bit of a trash-talking moment. Paddy took it more to an ethnicity attack, and then edged on Topuria to see if he would say something to his face. And even with the kind of apology, you pretty much asked for Topuria to do something. And of course, he obliged. He accepted the challenge, and he passed it. And any Georgian, anyone from the Caucasus or Eastern Europe or any place in the world that's having some kind of conflict would absolutely react the same way. And a fight between these two would actually be pretty enticing. I mean, they kind of built it from this. They both have a fight happening this weekend, so they both would have to win. But there's a possibility that Ilia Topuria jumps up to 155, or even Paddy, if he can, drop to 145 and fight each other. Because even though it probably wasn't meant to be some kind of build-up to a fight, it created a build-up by accident. and people will love to see it at this point. And here's the thing about Paddy Pimblett, even though he rubs a lot of fighters the wrong way, he's so polarizing, and he said he would be in the sport. He's actually doing what he said he wanted to do, and it's working. People are talking about him. He's a big name. He's going out there and winning. If he is able to continuously do that, keep winning fights, he's going to be in some massive fights in the future. Imagine he keeps beating these guys, all this buildup of different fighters, and he keeps beating them. When he becomes that contender or champion, his fights are going to sell. But he needs to win in order for that to happen. Regardless of what people think about him, regardless of the feelings about him, regardless if people start to hate him more than liking him, at the end of the day, everybody watches the winners, regardless if you like them or not. I know a lot of people say everyone loves a winner, but not necessarily. Everybody wants to watch the winners. Look what Colby Covington did. He became the villain of the sport, and he's proving to be one of the best fighters in the world. He has built that following behind him regardless of what he says. And if Paddy can do that, this guy can be a megastar in the future. And as for Ilia Topuria, he's not a guy who trash talks a lot, but the guy's a man of his word. He will not back down. He will do exactly what is challenged to him or what he says. You talk trash to him, he's going to confront you in this way. And so far, he has the skills to become someone very important in the future. So both these guys are on the right path. Very different from each other, but if they were to fight, that could even headline a fight night card. A lot of people are asking me, who do I think would win? There is a size difference between the two. Paddy might be more powerful, he might be more durable, he might be tougher, but skill-wise, I would have to side with Topuria. Topuria probably has enough power to hurt anybody in the world with any given shot. He has a great grappling game. I would side with Ilia Topuria for sure, but the physicality, the attributes, the scrappiness of Paddy Pimblett has to be respected here. He's not a guy that's just going to go away, even if he's in trouble in the fight. I believe Paddy could get a little too wild, and potentially Topuria's check left hook counter would be a huge weapon for himself. Leg kick's going to be a big weapon. I believe he has a better takedown game. Takedown defense might be a bit of a challenge for him due to how big Paddy is. If Paddy takes Topuria to the ground, it's still not a given fight for Paddy at all. Topuria is excellent on the ground, and ultimately sharper with his punches, smoother with his footwork, better with his angles. The one thing that might get into Topuria's way is if he goes into the fight too emotional. The fact that he did this showed that he is a bit of an emotional guy. Paddy doesn't seem to be that way. Paddy could talk trash and not be emotionally invested into it. So mentally, Paddy might be the guy coming into the fight with an advantage, and that can make or break the fight regardless of how good Topuria's skills are. So if they both win, I would love to see them go up against each other in the future. So what do you guys think? Leave in the comments below, what's your opinion on what happened here? Was Topuria justified? Did he go too far? Do you side with Paddy Pimblett? Do you side with Ilia Topuria? Who do you think is going to win the fight? There seems to be different camps here. I'm seeing more people side with Topuria, but at the same time, there seems to be a vocal minority siding with Paddy Pimblett. And you know, trash talking is trash talking. You never get physical about it until you fight each other. I can see both sides here. I'm not really siding with one or the other. And I'll see you guys in the next video.